Welcome back to the Wedge 52 Gridiron Podcast. I'm your host, Wedge. Today's episode will be the Super Bowl preview with the Kansas City Chiefs facing off against the San Francisco 49ers in Las Vegas, February 11th, Sunday. I believe kickoff is at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Obviously, that game is earlier, Vegas time. Before we jump into today's episode, please make sure you press that follow button right here on Spotify, as well as check out the Instagram and Twitter for all things Wedge 52 Gridiron. Make sure you guys are tapped in and ready to go for all the future off-season content based around the NFL and the Baltimore Ravens. And let's jump into today's episode. The Kansas City Chiefs' path to the Super Bowl. 26-7 victory over the Miami Dolphins, 27-24 victory over the Bills, and a 17-10 victory over our Baltimore Ravens. A very disappointing performance by the Baltimore Ravens. But this is the Super Bowl preview. We're going to try and focus on the Chiefs versus 49ers. 49ers' path to the Super Bowl. They had the first round bye being the 1 seed in that NFC conference. And then they beat the Packers 24-21 and then beat the Detroit Lions 34-31 in a second half comeback in that NFC championship game. Kind of looking at, some of the, top performers for each team, at least quarterback, running back, and receiving. For the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, 4,183 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions during that regular season. Isaiah Pacheco, 205 carries for 935 yards and 7 touchdowns. And Travis Kelce, 93 catches for 984 yards and 5 touchdowns, was their leading receiver during that regular season. And then at the 49ers offense, quarterback Brock Purdy, 4,280 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Christian McCaffrey, 272 rushes for 1,459 yards and 14 touchdowns. Obviously, he is a very, very capable dual threat running back, definitely the best running back in the league this season without a doubt. And then on the receiving side for the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk, 75 catches, 1,345 yards, and 7 touchdowns in the regular season for him. Looking at, the teams as a whole, just kind of, what kind of star power each of these teams has. Kansas City Chiefs has 3 All-Pro members this season. And then looking at the San Francisco 49ers, they have 7 All-Pro selections this season, as well as 2 MVP candidates. I do believe Lamar Jackson has ran away with that award. We will find out Thursday night at 8 p.m. If you want my reasoning behind that, please check out the Why Lamar Jackson is the MVP episode on the Wedge 52 Gridiron Spotify right here, as well as 1 Offensive Player of the Year candidate, that being Christian McCaffrey. I do project that CMC will win that award. It's got to be him or Tyreek. I guess Lamar, if he gets robbed of the MVP, should win that. We will see together on Thursday night for that one. Now moving into my keys to the game for this Super Bowl matchup between the Chiefs and the 49ers. My first key to the game is going to be rush defense. This goes for both defensive units in terms of stopping the run. Starting off with that 49ers defense, they're 21st in yards per rush allowed at 4.3 and 5th in yards per game allowed at 97. So while they are, struggle to eliminate bigger chunk runs, they are collectively good at stopping the run, just allowing 97 yards per game. In terms of that Chiefs offensive rushing unit, 12th in the league at 4.3 yards per rush and 18th in the league at 108.3 yards per game. So not very, dominant running team, middle of the pack in terms of rushing offense. For that Chiefs, total yards per game, going against a very good top 5 defensive unit in rushing yards allowed, but where it can, lead into a leeway, kind of an advantage for one of these potential units here is going to be in that yards per rush category. Both units, 49ers defense and Chiefs offense at 4.3 yards per rush. While it's probably not going to be the number one indicator of who's going to win the Super Bowl, definitely can lead to a swing If one of those, yards per rush stats can change by a yard or two, that makes a big difference in terms of, 15 to 20 projected run plays for either of these teams. And then looking at that Chiefs defense, 25th in yards per rush allowed at 4.5 and 17th in yards per game allowed at 113.2. Chiefs defense has been pretty good all year. Where they have struggled is that rushing defense. Going against a 49ers offense who is top 3 in the league in rushing offense, led behind, of course, Christian McCaffrey. They're 4th in the league at yards per rush at 4.8 yards per rush and 3rd in the league at yards per game at 139.7. Chiefs defense is definitely going to have to be, locked in on stopping Christian McCaffrey in the backfield alone. Not to mention his, catching abilities, pass catching abilities, but definitely stopping him in the run game first and foremost. I do remember roughly off the top of my head for the 49ers and Ravens Christmas game preview, which was week 15, 16, I believe. In the 49ers victories, Christian McCaffrey averaged, I want to say, around 105 yards per game on the ground. And in their losses up to that point, averaging only around 62, 63 yards per game. So a 40-yard swing for Christian McCaffrey's rushing yards. Definitely something the Chiefs want to lock in on. Both these units definitely going to need to, stop the rushing attack. Christian McCaffrey, best running back in the league this season, has been top of the league for several seasons, especially when he's healthy. He obviously has missed some time in his career, been good health-wise with the 49ers the past 2 years. And then Isaiah Pacheco runs hard, always falls forward. Definitely a guy that can break a tackle and bust a big run. Rushing defense is my first key to the game for this Super Bowl matchup. My second key to the game is going to be the 49ers passing attack. They are currently first in yards per pass at 8.7 yards per pass and 4th in passing yards per game with 257.2 pass yards per game behind quarterback Brock Purdy. That Chiefs defense, on the other hand, second in pass yards, yards allowed per pass at just 5.4 and 4th in pass yards allowed per game at just 181.5. That Chiefs secondary, with the help of some pressure by those that front line, defensive line, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, guys like that. That Chiefs secondary has been very good this season, has kept the Chiefs, playing, winning more games than projected, based on previous seasons. Chiefs offense kind of lackluster this season, but that defense has stepped up in terms of the previous 4 or 5 years of the Mahomes era and helped them win some more ball games. In that asset, 49ers pass attack, though, definitely has weapons. Like I mentioned a couple times already, Christian McCaffrey, very volatile, dual threat, can punish you in the passing game. They have George Kittle, all-pro tight end, Brandon Ayuk, second-team all-pro wide receiver, as well as Deebo Samuel, who is very, I don't remember his stats off the top of my head. I believe he had close to or over 1,000 yards receiving as well this season. Definitely a lot of pass-catching weapons for that 49ers offense. And Brock Purdy does a good job at finding the target that is open. Say what you want to say about Brock Purdy. He's playing in the Super Bowl as a quarterback. Yes, he's on a good offense. He's in a good system, but he also does his job well. I believe, Tom Brady also, was in a good system, had decent pass catchers, and took what the defense gave him. And I'm sure many of you, think very positively of Tom Brady. I'll discuss that in the future, potentially touch on that man Tom Brady again in this episode, but that's not the topic here for this one. But Brock Purdy does what he needs to do, gets the ball to his playmakers, and that's why he is an MVP candidate, and that's why the San Francisco 49ers are finding themselves with a chance to win the Super Bowl. Moving into my third key of the game, this one I do believe may come down to a field goal game. Both of these teams have been in 2 one-score games in the playoffs already. Chiefs, one-score game against the Ravens, and one-score game against the Buffalo Bills. 49ers, one-score game in both of their matchups versus the Lions and Packers. I definitely think field goal units may play a larger role than normal. Obviously, if you're putting your field goal unit on the field, you want them to be successful in all cases. But on the season, interesting, very large swing here. San Francisco kicking field goal percentage on the season is just 80% behind kicker Moody. And that Chiefs kicking unit, 95% conversion rate on field goals behind Harrison Butker. So definitely a big swing, 15% swing in terms of success rates. Where this may come into, in account is that Kansas City red zone touchdown percentage. Defensively, 8th best in the league, 50.91%. Allowed to opposing offenses. But the Chiefs' offense does struggle. 19th in the league, just 52.7% of the time do they get a touchdown when inside the 20. Looking at the other way, the 49ers defense, 14th best. So they do struggle just a little bit at stopping opposing offenses from getting touchdowns inside the 20 at 54.7%. But that 49ers offense, if they get inside the 20, they will punish you. Best in the league at red zone touchdowns this season at 68.49%. Going against that defense, at 8th best defense in the Chiefs, not bad, definitely, but 51% to 68.5%. Very critical in terms of red zones, touchdowns. If the defense do get stops, may play a big factor in that field goal unit. This could very well be another one-score game in the playoffs this season. And that is my third key to the game for this Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers. Now, I will discuss a little bit about who I'm rooting for in this Chiefs versus 49ers matchup. Yes, I'm a Ravens fan. Yes, the Chiefs beat the Baltimore Ravens. I am going for the Kansas City Chiefs still to win this game. My reasoning for that, the Baltimore Ravens already beat the San Francisco 49ers pretty good, late in the season too, week 16. The Baltimore Ravens absolutely dominated the San Francisco 49ers. Kind of be, a slap in the face. If they're able to beat the Chiefs, pour a little more salt in the wound of us Ravens fans, as well as going for the Chiefs. That way the Ravens fans can at least say they lost to the Super Bowl champ. It doesn't mean anything, let's be real. But, whatever. As well as my bigger reason in rooting for the Chiefs is as a lifelong Ravens fan, I despise Tom Brady. I do not think Tom Brady's skill set puts him in the GOAT category. And I would like to see Patrick Mahomes dethrone Tom Brady as the GOAT. And I believe to do that, getting a third ring for Patrick Mahomes would put him even closer into that conversation as he already is. And that is my reasoning for the Kansas City Chiefs, getting my root. Will I be cheering extensively? No. But I will be slightly favoring rooting for the Chiefs. I do not care. Chiefs versus 49ers, either way. It's not the Baltimore Ravens. Me as a Ravens fan, looking forward to the next season, looking forward to the offseason, and getting back on track with the Baltimore Ravens here. That is all I have for the Super Bowl preview, facing off the Chiefs and 49ers this Sunday, February 11th in Las Vegas. If you made it this far, thank you all for listening. Make sure you press that follow button right here on Spotify, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as share this podcast, share the Wedge 52 Gridiron with your fellow NFL and Baltimore Ravens fans. Thank you, and go Ravens.